All right, hear me out. Hamas needs to open a history book every now and then and take some lessons. Kind of piggybacking off of yesterday's video. Because if you go back through the history books, you will find a time when there was hell to pay, and the U.S. dished out a healthy dose of ass whooping to prove their point. Today we're going to talk about one such time and one of my favorite operations, Operation Praying Mantis. Quick little backstory, in the 1980s, Iran and Iraq were at war with each other. Doesn't really matter why. However, at the end of that, Iran decided it would be a good idea to cut off enemy supply lines and blow up Iraqi oil tankers, which they did. However, here's the caveat. You see, Kuwait stepped in and said, hey, listen, we've been financially backing Iraq this entire time, and we want our money back. See, at the time, Kuwait was not part of OPEC, so they were selling oil on the market significantly cheaper than everybody else. This was keeping the price down. So then Kuwait said, well, we're going to let Iraq export oil on our oil tankers because, well, hell, we want our money back. And Iran came back with, well, that's not a problem. We'll just fucking blow up your oil tankers too. Which they did. Now, because of this, gas prices went up, which is the ultimate no-no in the 20th century. So now the entire Western world is looking at these three countries like a dog mom, trying to figure out which one of her three dogs put their nose in the trash. And these three countries should have taken a lesson from the dogs, because the dogs know when dad gets home, there's going to be hell to pay. And dad came home. The U.S. then creates the largest military convoy since World War II and sends them into the Persian Gulf to protect Kuwaiti oil tankers. Now, at this point, Iran should have been like, well, this is inconvenient, but on to plan B. But they didn't. They thought it would be a wonderful idea to mine the Persian Gulf, because that's not going to carry any consequences to it whatsoever. And so, on April 14th, the USS Samuel B. Roberts, a guided missile frigate, ran into one of these mines, subsequently blowing a hole in the keel of the ship. The keel is the part that's under the water. It stabilizes and supports the entire vessel. The Samuel B. Roberts took on half its weight in water in the first 60 seconds. Now, this is a catastrophic failure that would sink 99% of ships, except this one. Somehow, the crew managed to get the situation under control and limp the ship to a port in Dubai. Not a single American was killed. So they pull the ship out of the water, look at it, and go, holy fuck. Go out to where the ship hit the mine, find the remnants of the mine, look at the other mines in the area. Well, I'll be damned, those look Iranian. And see, now this is kind of a big fucking deal, so somebody has to tell the president. And the president this time is none other than Ronald fucking Reagan. So he's super happy that the ship didn't sink and nobody was killed, and decides that we are going to give a proportional response. Now, proportional response was used loosely at this time, because what the U.S. Navy heard was, fuck them guys, let them have it. Now, to achieve all this, the U.S. Navy came up with a couple surface attack groups, the first one being made up of the USS Merrill, the USS Lynd McCormick, and the amphibious docking ship, the USS Trenton. The other surface attack group was made up of the guided missile destroyer, USS Wainwright, and the frigates, the USS Simpson and the USS Bagley. Both groups also had either Marines or Navy SEALs, and just for good fucking measure, we're going to have the USS Enterprise and her escort, the USS Truxtun, parked right outside the Gulf. You know, because nothing says insurance policy like a ship full of F-14 Tomcats and A-6 intruders. And see, they're going to attack 3 oil rigs in the Persian Gulf. These oil rigs are not being used to drill oil, but are used as forward operating bases for Iran's military. Iran really also only has 2 ships at this time. Well, modern ones. That's the Iranian frigate Sahan and the Iranian frigate Sabatlan. Yeah, we're going to think about going and hunting those 2 bitches down too. So the first attack group shows up, sends a radio transmission over to the oil rig. Hey, listen, we're going to blow this place up. Get the fuck out now. Now, seeing that they're making a good effort as everybody tries to jump in the tugboats, they agree to give them 15 more minutes. Fast forward another 10 minutes, they decide to launch an airburst round over top of it just to scare off the stragglers. It was at this point in time that some Iranian decided he wanted to play hero and opened up fire on the surface attack group, to which a naval 5mm gun was pointed directly at him and just fucking smoked him. Another radio transmission was sent over, and I'm paraphrasing here. "You fuckers ready to give up yet, or do we need to keep unloading?" They sent the radio transmission back. Yeah, we're good. Just give us some time to leave." Once everybody left, the surface attack group decided target practice time and started unloading a little bit on it with the 5-inch guns, before sending over some Marines with demo charges and turning this into the Persian Gulf's newest coral reef. Now, the second surface attack group showed up at their oil rig, and everything pretty much played out the same. Except instead of sending over Navy SEALs and Marines to place the demo charges, they just kept firing at the 5-inch guns until it became the second coral reef of the day. It was at this point where 2 Iranian F-4s made an attack run on the USS Lynn McCormick, but promptly turned tail and ran away when the USS Wainwright locked their missiles onto them. So Iran then responds by launching bog hammer-style speedboats into the Persian Gulf to attack this whatever they can find. And the first thing they come across was a civilian cargo vessel called the Willie Tide. The second was a Panama-flagged oil rig called Scan Bay, and the third was a British oil tanker, the York Marine. Hearing this, the USS Enterprise says game time and launches F-14 Tomcats and A-6 intruders. They make their way over to speedboats and start dropping Rockeye cluster bombs, sinking one and heavily damaging another. They, like the F-4s, then turned tail and ran. Iran then sent a fast attack ship out, which then proceeded to challenge the Wainwright surface group. Commander of the Wainwright sends a message over: "Stop your engines and abandon your ships. I intend to sink you." The fast attack ship then responded by shooting harpoon missiles at the Wainwright. Little bit of chaff rockets and that was taken care of. However, the attack group responded when the Simpson fired 4 standard missiles and the Wainwright sent 1. All missiles hit the ship but didn't sink it. So then the attack group moved in and kind of finished it off with, a shooting gallery. Cue the Iranian frigate Sahand. Yeah, that was spotted by a couple A-6 intruders, who were then promptly fired upon by the Iranians with some harpoon missiles. The A-6s then did a U-turn, radioed over, "I'm going to sink you now," and launched 2 harpoon missiles and 4 laser-guided skipper missiles. All of them hit, causing a massive fire that eventually reached the ship's magazine, and boom. The U.S. has now created the Persian Gulf's 3rd newest coral reef. A little later on in the day, the Sabitlan decided it wanted to get involved. It too launched some surface-to-air missiles at some A-6 intruders, which was totally the wrong move considering what happened to the Sahand earlier in the day. But there's something to be said for persistence. So they launched these missiles at a couple A-6s, and in response, the A-6s dropped a Mark 82 laser-guided bomb, pulled a total Luke Skywalker A New Hope move, and dropped it straight down the fucking smokestack, blowing up the engine room and setting the fucking thing ablaze. When the Iranian rescue ships got there, the stern was partially submerged. They did end up towing it back to get repaired. In retaliation for the attacks, Iran launched a couple Silkworm missiles. These are anti-ship missiles, which they were not supposed to have, which was shot down by the USS Gary using her 76mm gun. However, the Reagan administration and the Department of Defense denied that there were any Silkworm attacks. Iran wasn't supposed to have them. And it was made very clear earlier in the decade that if they use them, it's a declaration of war against the U.S. Not wanting to kick off World War III, they swept it under the rug. So the American people didn't find out, because if we found out, well, there would be hell to pay. It was at this point that Naval Command went, "All right, Jesus Christ, we're done killing shit. Everybody stand down." And thus ends Operation Praying Mantis. So why is this my favorite? Because it is one of the greatest demonstrations of a naval ass-whooping in modern history. This is what happens when there's hell to pay. Hamas needs to crack the history books, because this is what's coming for you. Except it's 2025, and we have way cooler shit now. And with that being said, thanks for watching. The best way to support me is to like, comment, or share on these videos. Don't forget to keep an eye out for the first podcast of By the People. It'll be out later this week. And with that being said, be nice, be kind, be patient.